We are live! It's tea time, everybody! Tea time with Madame Askew and the Grand Arbiter with special guest, the Airship Ambassador! Yeah, we're here. We're gonna do some stuff. We're gonna talk about cake and we're gonna get hungry. Hope you didn't have to eat because it's time to have a desserty treat with Madame Askew and the Grand Arbiter and, of course, the Airship Ambassador.
Woo!
Woo! Greetings, everyone. I feel like that song went a lot of places. I'm not sure how I feel about how it ended up, but that is life.
That's all right because you got there and we got here. And hello, everyone. It is I, Madame Askew, and I am here with my wonderful partner, the Grand Arbiter, and our fantastic, delightful, special guest, the esteemed Airship Ambassador. Welcome, Airship Ambassador.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so wonderful to be back. I always enjoy this. I'm very flattered. Thank you. Thank you.
We love having you. You're such a fantastic guest. And of course, we are a little bit biased because we just adore you. You're such a delightful human.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Enjoy your company too.
Thank you.
And it's so great to see both of you in person there at Wild West Con.
Yeah.
Even for a few hours.
Yes, at least a few hours.
Well, we got to dine together. We did get some quality time together, and I got to see one of your panel presentations at Wild West Con. It was
That's
so
right.
fantastic. You were presenting about 19th century menus and food and, historical recipes. It was a wonderful presentation.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun to put together. And there's so much to choose from. So.
Yes. So before we get into it, though, because, we are bound and determined to make everyone a little bit hungry tonight, including ourselves. But this is Pride Month. We are queer steampunks, and we
are sinful pride eaters.
Nonsense. I'm sorry, what was that, Grand Arbiter?
It's okay. I'm not worth it. It's fine. No, I said we're sinful pride eaters, obviously.
Sinful pride eaters. That's
and
nice.
I'm going to do something to make myself a little less oddly positioned.
Little flag. The rainbow flag is so perfect, Ambassador. I'm just going to put it up here, sort of like a subversive rainbow moment. A little fabric nonsense. But I love your little flag. It's, you know what, there's something, and I know it was intentional, but there's something so joyful about that flag. It is a symbol of resistance, but also our shared joy as a community. And I love that kind of duology we find ourselves in every Pride, where we're definitely resisting, but we're also sharing our joy. It makes me a little bit verklempt. Hello, Susie. Happy Pride. Hello, everyone. It's so wonderful. Happy Pride to you, my darling. So this Pride Month, we are doing more queer nonsense, which is actually hard for us because we do so much queer nonsense already. The only way to make it more was to invite more of our fellow queer steampunks to join us. And here we are. Thank you. 33% more gay tonight because the Ambassador is with us. But we are getting up to a very flamboyant conversation next Friday as well with 2 more guests. So I hope you will join us for that. Happy Pride, my dear friend. So good to see you, Broderick. I'm happy you're here. Grand Arbiter, what else have we got going on?
Well, you're doing a class.
I am doing a class. I'm teaching an introduction.
That's basically the primary vehicle of your lived experience. It is the cliff edge that you hang off of every morning.
It's true. I love it. I hang off of it using a lasso made of a measuring tape and carabiners that I forge out of old scissors that have wronged me. So yeah, they're sharp carabiners. They're a little dangerous. So I cut off the blades and I use the handles for the carabiner part.
We are in the middle of what I like to call the summer era. We have a very soft summer. We want everyone to feel that they can go out and do adventures. So we have more, we have our standard events. You still have, of course, book club and a sip the tea coming up. You had one last week?
I had one last week. I'm getting ready for one in July with Freddie Prince Charming. Very exciting. I'm scheduling more after that, of course, always. Those are my special Saturday morning interviews that I do at least once a month. And I'm very excited for book club this month. It is Michael Miriam's Terror at Tierra del Cobra. And it's a weird Western kind of steampunk experience from Queen of Swords Press, one of our favorite small indie publishers. They are very queer focused and queer owned. That was not intentional to pick that book for this month, but it worked out really well for our plans.
A nice benefit for sure.
And also, thank you, Susie, who's also contributing to the big gay vibes tonight. We love it. My darling Airship Ambassador, you have some fun things coming up. I heard a rumor about Asylum.
Asylum, yes. Yes, I will be heading out to Asylum in Lincoln, England in August. And I had met or talked with Elsie and John Tinker at TeslaCon back in November. And they followed up and invited me out to come this year. And it was one of their big milestone anniversaries. And I have not been to Asylum before, and I've heard really good things about it. So I'm looking forward to it. And I haven't been to England proper in 5 or 6 years, so it's very nice to go back and have time and just be in the UK in general.
Oh my God!
I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to, I think, a different experience than American conventions. So. I'm expecting people from different countries to be coming to Asylum because it's also close, but the culture will be different. The whole feeling will be different, and so I'm looking forward to that. And I think seeing what can we bring as Americans to it, but also what can we bring back for our American conventions and activities. So,
that'll be very fun.
Asylum is one of the great granddaddies of steampunk. It's been around for a very long time, as far as it goes, for Steampunklandia, and it is massive. People really do descend. It's a bit of a pilgrimage to get to go. So I cannot wait to hear about your adventures. There.
Madame Askew is filled with deep personal jealousy and longing. So that's where we're at.
Well, then I won't rub it in, but I could send you lots of pictures.
Please
that is definitely allowed.
Here's me waking up, and here's me with my morning tea, and here's me looking out the window.
Please take lots of pictures with tea, and have lots of tea, and many scones.
And later it'll be cocktail time.
Ooh, cocktail time, or is that your elixir of youth that you're drinking?
Who really knows? Who really knows what things are, right?
Who knows?
There's a commercial, and probably an older commercial, and it came to mind today about something like that, like only her something knows the real answer. And I was like, and I can't remember what the something was. Like, was it her doctor, her hairdresser, her
I think it was her hairdresser.
It was her.
Right, yeah, yes. Because it was about, like,
1957, Clairol, does she or doesn't she? Only her hairdresser knows.
Yes.
Oh my God, so good. Very good. Good. Now I can sleep well tonight with that answer.
Yes.
I hope you enjoyed that information.
I did.
It's a wonderful like it's a delightful little bit of trivia from a bygone era. I don't think we talk about beauty routines in that way anymore, but also we use a lot less arsenic in our beauty routines.
I also think
So-
part of it is that the secret is no longer the thing. It's not it's like there's something very interesting. We will spin off of this, but something I've learned recently is that Madame Askew appreciates a mid afternoon ramble.
That's true. That's true.
There's
Like a
something to be
crumble?
said about this idea that the change of the way that the internet functions means that it's no longer like secret keeping in this kind of like Clairol, like I won't tell you, I just look naturally beautiful. Actually, it's more likely for folks to tell you because it's a demonstration of wealth to show that you have access to these special things.
Oh, interesting.
So it's less about pretending that you like have perfect skin and more like, well, I have perfect skin because I can pay $7,000 to dunk myself into bee honey and have myself turn into a bee woman.
Oh, look, but here's the thing. If someone tells you that they're going to cover you in royal jelly and turn you into a bee woman, there's a movie you need to watch. It's from like 1975, and it's a real, like, it's a PSA about why you don't want to do that. It's also soft corn pornography. It's fine. It's better with a friend group and probably cocktails, though, to be honest. So,
Vintage films. Well, it definitely sounds like a 70s movie.
oh,
And
is
I
it?
think it's specifically not even, so I misremembered the title. It's actually Invasion of the Bee Girls, which has such a different connotation than bee women. And I think that that's a very important distinction.
So I have seen this film. Now
Ooh.
we're really off.
And
on-
it is a film. It's a film.
All right, I've seen this moving picture at the cinema with a gaggle of
Importantly,
people.
it's at the cinema.
The moving picture house, and it is absolutely absurd. It's not good, but it's so bad that it is delightfully fun to watch with chums. So I do think that the bee women would be more empowered and probably more successful in their efforts if they were referred to as women. Yes, there are things in this world that are so bad they're good, and this is one of them. 100%. So we're like totally off our agenda for this evening. But,
we're not.
we're
We're
gonna
not
come
the
back to
agenda. The agenda is to
talking
hang
about
out with
bee
the airship.
girls for now.
The agenda is to hang out with the
oh
airship.
my god. Well, I hope that if they think I'm taking the piss, my darling buttery goodness, that they do so with good humor, and they know that I'm doing so with good humor. But usually people just ask where I'm from.
Yeah,
So-
there's actually people don't ever question your accent that much beyond they're like, oh, how delightful, another British person. They're very it's happened on multiple occasions where they're like, oh, you sound like you're from XYZ specific locale. Do you have
but
family
only my
there
hairdresser knows the truth.
Only your hairdresser knows for sure.
So but no, I would love to. The dear Airship Ambassador and I were talking about this. That I'd love to set up a time for us to have the wonderful Tinkers here to join us to talk about asylum at some point in the future, and perhaps the Airship Ambassador and I will be able to make that happen sometime in the future, and then we can ask them lots of lovely questions about their event. And of course, we'll have to have you back to tell us about it when you're home. from the UK, and then I'll weep into my teacup with envy, but charmingly.
Life is rough that way sometimes, you know.
And all
Yeah.
you do is charming. We only do charming out here, honestly.
That's right. Yes.
We are
Fun and frivolity. Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
So,
Only
Ambassador.
quality, that's for sure.
So, Ambassador, you have been traveling through Steampunklandia for a few years. Only your hairdresser knows how long.
Yes.
Only your hairdresser knows.
Yeah.
Who knows? But you have seen some of the great highlights of this community. You have met many luminaries. You are yourself a luminary amongst steampunks. I will always recall meeting you for the first time and being so starstruck to meet you. You've hosted an incredible blog. You are a disseminator of news, and you've embarked on an incredible new project with Beaton's Bakeware, where you're really deep diving into the food and baking of the 19th century. You are a man of many talents in steampunk. But I have a question in all of this preamble. Where was the moment? What was that pivotal moment where you got hooked on steampunk? What drew you in initially?
Oh. I suppose it's a multi-part answer. So I suppose the very first time was long before steampunk had a name, and I was a mere 3-foot-high child watching 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And that Nautilus was like, that was it. That was my first vehicle love, and I loved everything Victorian at that point, or after that point. And I wanted the Nautilus and the whole bit. And I was like, that is so cool. Like, everything's so elegant and beautiful, and technology and just all that. And then a secret lair in a volcano. I mean, it was so awesome. So
it's so good.
Yeah. So that's where it started. The love of that idea, or that confluence of ideas. And then I think skip forward many years to the 90s, and I was reading a lot of cyberpunk. Mona Lisa Overdrive and associated things. Yeah. And I was like, these are great stories, thoroughly enjoying them. And what would be even better is if it was this story, but in the 1800s and Victorian. That would be amazing. And months later, there was the Difference Engine. And I was like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want. And I just thoroughly enjoyed it. And I was like, well, we need more of this. And actually by then, steampunk had a name.
Yes.
I didn't really, I don't know if I knew it right at that moment, but eventually clued into it and kind of kept tabs on it in the growing internet and searches and stuff. I was like, is there anything out there? Is there more? And it took quite a while, but then into the 2000s, then it really got going. I was like, oh, and so I would follow online, and then I guess just happenstance or coincidence that's not, that I found out there was going to be SteamCon in Seattle, and in just like 2 or 3 months from that point, I was like, I could go to that. That would be fun.
And the rest is history, because you made some amazing connections at SteamCon.
Yes.
And for those who don't know, SteamCon was one of the OG steampunk conventions. I'm very sad that it has gone the way of the dodo, because it was really a gem of an event, and there were some seminal moments and connections that happened at SteamCon, and the organizer of that event was a real luminary in the community in those early days. But the early internet was very fecund and really helped to give steampunk legs, because a lot of us have a similar story. Like, oh, we were reading cyberpunk, we were seeing that sort of thing, or we were into the kind of goth fashion, and we loved Victoriana magazine, and we really wanted some confluence of all of these things together. The Difference Engine was a very big turning point, even though there are some steampunk novels and short fiction that predate that. It's the one that really sort of shifted the public consciousness and like focused in on the early aesthetic of steampunk. But well, I think most of us have heard of the Difference Engine, even if we haven't read it. What is an early steampunk novel, my darling ambassador, that you think doesn't get enough love from people?
Oh my gosh. I think, let's see. So one that I enjoyed was from, oh my gosh, Katerina. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I'm totally blanking on her name. She's what, Alchemy of Stone and
yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I can see the cover, and her last name is like completely it escaped me.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so and I hate not knowing, so I'm going to look it up while we're talking.
Oh, are you going to look it up? I'll let you look it up.
We have multiple screens. You only have the single screen.
That's true. You two look it up. I'll be charming.
Katerina Sedia, Sedia.
Yes.
And let's see. I think it's Heart of Iron. And there was Alchemy of Stone.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Heart of Iron. So with it, it was just, for me, it was just something I really enjoyed. I got to meet her at Nova Albion 2010, I think. And so it was nice just to chat and get to know her. And but I liked the book because it was British, Chinese, and Russian, I think, cultures all coming together, and the usual political intrigue and technological intrigue. And I really enjoyed it. And for me, I think it just doesn't come up in conversation enough, or not enough people read it. And
no, they do not.
It's something I always like to share.
Difference Engine. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a wonderful book too. If you check out any of the steampunk anthologies by the Vandermeers, they've got some short fiction by her in them as well. She's a really gifted writer, and I don't think she gets enough love either.
Actually, something else, talking about those trilogies or those books from the Vandermeers, appropriate for this month would be Steam Powered, which were lesbian steampunk stories. And they're 2 volumes, and they're short stories, and they're really, really good. I enjoyed every one of them when I read them in both volumes.
A lot of these older steampunk works are not necessarily available in physical copy anymore, but most of them are still available as digital copies, and I highly recommend you check them out. Of course, the Airship Ambassador you have excellent taste. You have great taste in books.
That's why he's here and not in the gutter.
That's true. That's true.
With a book.
Mean, generally speaking, we all 3 try and avoid the gutter. It's very bad for our time traveling togs.
Well, the gutter is no. Let's be frank. A gutter is a thing you must choose to be. You don't want to be thrown in. It's okay to go to the gutter. You don't want to be thrown in the gutter, right?
No.
Like going to the gutter of your own accord, acceptable. Thrown in the gutter, unacceptable.
Yes, but going to the gutter, we don't dress for that. I would be very upset if you went.
I'm making a pun.
I didn't get the pun. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. We still love you. Your Madame Askew's brain is very haphazard currently. It's mostly just hat pins and sorrows is really all that's up there these days.
And tea.
And tea.
Sorrow and tea.
Actually, tea is stored in the heart. You don't store the problem is your heart is very needy right now, so it's keeping all the tea to itself. and it's not sharing it with your brain, hence all the problems.
I just need to drink more tea. Clearly, that's the only solution. Or I need that elixir of youth that the Airship Ambassador is drinking.
I don't know. He needs every drop.
Every time I say
Well,
ELIXIR, the listening device thinks I'm talking to her, and I'm not. It's very awkward.
Alexa,
So
I jest. It's all in jest. The Airship Ambassador is always handsome and perfect and has never done anything wrong in his whole life.
well, that's true. That's true.
So
it is a fact.
we do have some things that we brought you here under a little bit of false pretenses.
Well,
so you may not have known this.
I did see sorry. Now I can't think of the word.
Patreon poll, maybe?
Maybe. I just saw that there was some absurdities that may come my way. I'm like, all right, I'm ready for absurdity and frivolity and maybe shenanigans.
So we decided to send because we have access to you so rarely, which is really on you and a great cruelty that you put upon us on the regular. Sitting on your island tower, sitting in your labyrinth of your hedge labyrinth on your tower on your forbidden island. We submitted a series of embarrassing or shady questions we could ask you to our Patreon subscribers. Now, we're going to go through, I think, all of them if we can, but there's only 3. There are only 3. And but we're going to start with the ones that are like got the most votes, so that if we have a little bit of extra time, we can do the extra ones.
Okay.
These are open-ended, long-form questions that we'll be talking about for the remainder of our time here.
Yes.
And probably for years to come. So.
That's also true.
And some of these have been editorialized by Madame Askew, and I am disappointed about her choices.
Whatever.
I will bring up how they were editorialized in public in front of everyone, because I am shameless and do not like being edited in this particular context.
My edits were good.
Your edits were good. No. Your editing was good. Your editorializing. So our first question is.
And I can't wait to hear what was left out.
Okay, well, I'm gonna read the question, and then I'll read my unedited version from my backup notes.
So, as a bit of context, part of the reason that we're going to be talking about baked goods, cakes, and that sort of frippery, it's not just because we are all queer and we love a good baked good. That's very important. It's pride. We deserve cake. But also, you are a baking mastermind, Airship Ambassador, and you host Beaton's Bakeware. You know your way around a patisserie and a fromagerie. We love cheese and baked goods, and we're going to make it your problem. Grand Arbiter, take it away.
Okay. The question as posed by Madame Askew is, which cake is wildly overrated and is actually best suited for mailing to your arch nemesis? However, I prefer my version, which was, what cake is wildly overrated and is actually a trash cake for trash people?
Oh, gosh. Wow, those are like...
Mine was saltier, and I thought it was... But Madame Askew's was much nicer, but I was not going to let that... That joke is not going to die in my phone.
Oh, my gosh. Now I think it's 3 different cakes.
They're different cakes. Which one do you send to someone you don't like, and which is for a garbage person?
Well, first, I think the cake is probably overrated, even though I eat it all the time. if it's gonna be fruitcake. No, it's not fruitcake. Actually, I think it's red velvet cake. Even though
I agree wholeheartedly.
I love red velvet cake, maybe because it's red, but it is basically just a chocolate cake that is red. So
I agree wholeheartedly. My only thing is they tend to flavor red velvet differently with frostings because of the redness. And I prefer those flavors, right? But it's not a different cake. It's still a chocolate cake.
It's still a chocolate cake.
And I would argue it's like a fine chocolate cake. It's not an incredible chocolate cake. It's a acceptable chocolate cake.
Yes. It's good. It's fun. I eat it when it's there. I'm going to probably choose it over some other things. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, close your eyes and it's just a chocolate cake. Yeah.
You know, the thing is, I love red velvet cake. And maybe it is overrated. Maybe.
What?
But a truly glorious red velvet cake has a little bit of sour sharpness brought into it in addition to the chocolate. And a lot of red velvet cakes are simply chocolate cake dyed red. But if you have a really high-end red velvet cake with that slightly sour note to it, slightly sharp, it's kind of a magical experience, I think.
I think that that's a
That's all
very
I'll say.
reasonable. I think that like so there's a really interesting I'm a big fan of the Dropout channel, not a sponsor, just a experience I enjoy. But there's a really important distinction that they have a conversation on it, which is cake over pie. And it's that the greatest cake could probably beat the greatest pie, but an average pie demolishes the average cake. It's that cake has an incredibly high ceiling of success, but requires a certain level of precision, where pie is almost always good. It's hard to F up a pie.
I would agree with you.
It's very easy to F up a cake.
Yes.
And that is the secret of red velvet cake, is that you're right, at the upper echelons of at the tippy top, the peak of chocolate cake experiences is probably a red velvet's probably up there.
Yeah.
But that's not the average red velvet you encounter in the wild. That's the one that you encounter in your tasting sessions getting ready to get married, and then you bite into it and you're like, this is the best cake ever. And then they tell you it's $50,000.
Right. Yes.
But it does come with gold leaf at that point.
Right.
The flavor Madame Askew longs for most, the taste of metal.
You know, now I'm trying to remember for our wedding, we had 3 cakes. It was, oh my gosh, it was a black forest and I think red velvet.
It was.
And I can't remember the last one.
The last one was like, I think a lemony one.
Or creamy.
Or cream. It was, but I had the red velvet.
Yeah. It sounded good. It certainly looked, I mean, red went with the whole theme. So.
Oh, yes.
I mean, that's your favorite color. So it makes sense.
Is. Actually, red is. Even though I'm wearing green tonight, yes, just as a change, but red really is my favorite color.
So it's why I put on the roses. But
thank you. I appreciate that.
So if that's the case.
I love what Star Mistress has to say. Pie crust can smell fear.
I do think it's harder to make a pie crust than like, again, it's the average cake versus the average pie.
Right.
And like, if I'm going to a store and buying an average cake versus average pie, I think average pie wins. But I do think that the best cake in the world does beat the best pie in the world, unless it's a savory pie. And then they were never in competition. They were friends. They were lovers.
Bill, I totally agree with you about Black Forest cake is definitely my favorite. It's the cake I choose for my birthday every year.
I like that you're so consistent. So what's the pie you send to what's the cake you send to your enemies? What's the cake you're sending to your nemesis?
Oh gosh.
Because we've got one that we decided that's like that's a little overrated. But what's the one that's like, no, we send it to the one we don't like?
Gosh, what would that be? I mean, I'm thinking, like, what would be the most plain, boring cake, or something so over the top with such an unusual flavor that nobody would like? Oh, a durian cake. A durian cake, I would absolutely send off to all my enemies. That
A durian is already kind of a complicated endeavor on its own.
right. So I don't know if everybody is familiar with durian, but it's a very large, spiky, sharp.
It looks like an alien fruit from an alien.
It's an alien fruit. On the outside, it's amazing. It looks so cool with these spikes, and it's like really unfriendly, and but it's so cool. But once it splits open, it's soft and, to me, kind of gooey and smells like rotten garbage on the hottest day anywhere. Like,
I mean,
it's
the
just
way
the
it's been
most
described to me,
disgusting smell and flavor. And
the big part about it is that it has like there's a sort of a sweetness to it. It's a very weird fruit that some people really like. And again, part of it is that we're a culture that's very into very sugary things,
sure.
which I think is part of why durian has no appeal to us. But my favorite description that I've ever heard of durian is it's described as an angry volleyball filled with vomit.
Yes, I think that's entirely appropriate. Yes. And I would say many, many years ago, I was exploring the junk food aisle at the local Asian store. It was like one of those days. And I just went down that aisle. I was like, if it looks good, it's going in the basket because that is just what I need today. And all the way at the end were these durian wafers, like vanilla wafers and the chocolate wafer, the crispy wafer with the filling. And like, durian, sure, the picture looks cool. Then I got it home and I'm like, great, let's try this. And I open it up and I almost stopped right there. I was like, oh my God, like what is this? Like, this reeks. I'm like, all right, I will try a bite. Maybe it tastes better than it smells, or maybe it's just gone off and it's bad. And yeah, one bite, spit it out, had to rinse my mouth. It was like the most disgusting thing that I'd eaten.
I just can't imagine.
And then I took it to work. I asked a coworker. We got to talking about foods and things that I was trying, and said, "Oh yeah, I've got these durian wafers, and they're just not my thing. You know, I don't like them." I was like, "Oh, I'll take them. I'll take the rest of the package." And I'm like, "Okay, I will bring it into you tomorrow." And so I put it in a Ziploc bag so I wouldn't smell it, and then the drive to work was probably 30 minutes. I was like, oh, that smell. I was like, I need the windows open. Got to work, parked in the garage, and I actually had to take the bag out, put it on the hood of my car. I was like, I do not want this smell in the car all day long. It was just nasty. And so I told the worker, I was like, it's downstairs. It's on the hood. Just take it. Just get it away from me. It's
Take
like,
it.
yeah. And oh, it was nasty. So yes, a durian cake. And
Durian cake.
so on our travels, we were at a hotel. Oh, in fact, Bill just pointed out. Yeah, we were at a hotel in our travels, and they said we only have a few rules and like blah 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 blah, and we are a durian-free hotel. And I said, and that's exactly how it should be. Like, it's just.
So we have a friend in the chat. Hello, Piper. Oh,
hello, Piper.
Hello, my darling. Joining us all the way from Southeast Asia right now. Piper may be our defender of the humble, spiky durian, beloved.
I mean,
by
is
some,
a durian humble? I feel
others.
like the durian is very ostentatious at the minimum. Like, you can like her or dislike her, but she's not humble in any capacity. Durian is here. She's a mean girl at a prom, and she's gonna pour a bucket of stinky stuff on you.
Oh yeah.
She's gonna carry up all in this business.
Has the most confidence, yeah. Yeah, durian is quite polarizing.
I like this
yes, I
very
would agree.
Piper's like, I
never
must protect
expected-
my relationship with my community. I will take a very apolitical stance. Durian is quite polarizing.
Piper,
Excellent
I am
job,
happy
Piper.
to give all the durian to you, and you can enjoy it, and I will not even try to live vicariously with that. You just take it.
I mean, the durian is of a community. We respect it. I do find durian to be fascinating. Every time I've experienced it, I'm like, maybe I didn't have the right one. But then I'm always like, no, I'm a risk averse person. Let's not take any more risks. Life is risky enough.
This is related. There's a wonderful romance novel set in Vancouver, and of course I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's by Jackie Lau, and it's all about this young woman who starts an ice cream shop and makes durian ice cream, and is really obsessed with durian, and her love interest is not into it, but everyone has to support her in her love for durian, and also she makes really wonderful wild flavors of ice cream. It's just a very charming, but it made me want to eat durian in the worst possible way. I was just like, oh,
have you ever had a durian?
No, I haven't, because also I'm afraid of durian.
Oh, right. The fear. I'm sorry. The fear. I apologize.
Because
Well,
it
on
is
your
very
next visit,
polarizing.
on your next visit, madam, we can get you some durian, and you can eat it outside.
Outside. I'll
It's,
go
oh my
with
God,
the
it's also
water
called.
and we'll step outside.
The book is called Man versus Durian.
That's it. And it's a lovely romance, by the way. It's quite charming. Thank you for posting that, Grand.
Just don't get it in your eye.
Yeah, don't get it in your eye. So there was another question that came up in the chat, and that was, this is also related, is cheesecake a pie or a cake? And Alicia says cheesecake is a cake bribe for pie lovers. But I'm curious what your thoughts are about the state of cheesecake.
I think the argument in the comments is the right one. It's not either. It's a custard because it's not baked.
It can be baked.
It can be baked, but like often isn't.
Yeah. So I would agree. I would say it's neither. Also, yeah, I do think it's its own thing. It can be baked or just chilled, and it of course it's cheese, so it's got to be good. Although I will say that, like a base,
ooh,
a lot of recipes.
This is a good. I get to use a big $20 word. Now this is more like a. This is a $6 word. It's a tort.
Is it a tort?
Is it a tort?
I mean, it's almost like like a little tart, the shell and that kind of custard, but it's
the use of eggs is generally the thing that defines it as a tort.
Okay.
Fascinating. All right.
It's good.
So,
but I'll clarify on cheesecake and my stance on cheesecake. So cheesecake can be really good and creamy and delicious and all that. One thing I am disappointed about in so many cheesecake recipes is that the cheesecake part is the same. It's just that. And then it's got a topping of some flavor. And at least when I'm looking at recipes, if I'm looking for a flavor, I want that in the cheesecake, not just on top of it, just like as an afterthought. Like if it's a raspberry cheesecake, I want the raspberry puree in the cheesecake.
Yes.
With extra raspberries on top. And so I like cheesecake, but it's got to be like flavor throughout the whole thing, not just on top.
I have very strong opinions about cheesecake. I
mean, it's your two favorite things put together. So, like, it's really unshocking that you have strong opinions about it. It's sort of like, does Madame Askew care about cats, tea, and sewing? Find out more at 11.
No, listen, in my youth, I wrote a 5-page ode to cheesecake in the style of Alexander Pope. So it was all rhyming couplets. I am deeply passionate about cheesecake. And if it is going to have a flavor to it, the ambassador is right. It needs to be worked into the cheesecake. I do not like a lot of fussy covering on my cheesecake. I don't want a lot of, piped on cream. I don't want like very icky, sticky, gooey jam on the top. I want the purity of the texture, the beauty of the flavor. And if the cheese does not cut through and commingle with the fruit, if the fruit and the sugary topping and the fake whipped cream is just falling off the cheesecake, I am not interested in it. So anyway.
Okay. Well, we got the memo. We know what we so if you're seeing Madame Askew on her birthday, cheesecake is where it's at. Although I do know the secret cake that's Madame Askew's favorite. But yeah, no, I think that those are all very reasonable conditions. I think durian is a very complicated flavor that we should treat with respect and dignity. And then also red velvet cake is important and valuable, but we can live without. It's fine.
So before we hear the ambassador's trashy cake choice, Grand Arbiter, I must know what cake you would send to your arch nemesis.
Oh, So the question is, do I send a cake that I just know is bad, or do I send a cake because I think that's the real challenge. I framed the question originally with the sense that you wouldn't want to send a good cake to your arch nemesis. So I don't think there's a cake I'd send that isn't just a really awful flavor that I don't like. I do think there's something to be said about it would be something esoteric, like a squid ink cake or something equally vulgar in nature. I like the idea of a squid ink cake because it would stain everything that they own and their teeth, which I like conceptually. I don't think I'd send them a fruit cake because I feel like I don't want to be suggested that I sent them a weapon, because then that might get sent back to me, lodged at my head. Send them a really good cake to freak them out.
Actually, there is a squid ink cake recipe. The squid ink is incorporated to the batter, giving it a striking black color and a subtle, briny, savory flavor.
So just so we're clear, I do not make stuff up. I do guess very aggressively, but I don't make stuff up.
I love Piper's suggestion as well, sending a cake that sends a message they think it's a bomb, but it's really a cake, or they think it's, I don't know, a morning star, but it's really a cake. Definitely a message involved in said cake, however.
What are you sending, Madame Askew? What cake are you sending?
Well, it probably depends on the nature of the rivalry, although we are talking arch nemesis. So if it was merely someone that I disliked a normal amount and not we have a rivalry, this is epic and spans continents, time and space, I would simply send them a very a day-old white cake from the local grocer that has been out that entire time, and the frosting is definitely made with Crisco and sadness.
I mean, and then just leave it in the fridge for too long. Make sure it's dried out. I don't know.
Yeah, it's got to be dry, and you must get that chemical taste in each bite.
No, what you do is you send them a cold buttercream cake with no instructions.
Oh, so they don't know that they need to bring it up to room temperature. Oh.
Ultimately,
yes. Yes, day old
Day
and
old.
Crisco frosting crusty. It is a statement piece. A
Yes.
statement piece.
And
Yeah.
so I also thought, alternately, maybe the best cake to send to the enemy is just the dried out crumbs that are left over. So no cake, just crumbs
Just
in a
steal.
box.
No. You break into their house, steal a cake, and then send them back the crumbs in a box.
I don't know the
Cake
answer
is
to this
delicious.
one. If there are any cakes with nougat in them,
I
I feel like
can't imagine there
probably.
isn't.
Oh no, this is diabolical.
Oof.
Melted ice cream cake.
And then
refrozen.
refrozen. Oh.
Diabolical.
Well, I'm glad that we're all so evil. We're gonna move. The two questions that were the top winners are very close, so I do want to get to the second question, which I think is actually a very interesting one as a cake and as a food historian, which I feel is a fair way to describe you. Which dessert is a crime that folks have forgotten about, and how mad about it are you?
Oh my gosh. Crime. Oh my God.
Like some cakes, some desserts have fallen to the wayside. It doesn't have to be cake, it can be any dessert, but it's fallen to the wayside, and it's just absolutely tragic. It's a tragedy and criminal, and you're angry about it.
Oh, that nobody makes it anymore? Or that it existed in the first place?
No, that it doesn't exist anymore fills you with sorrow. Like that people are mistakenly not making this anymore, and it's a mistake not to make it.
It's
Oh,
like
gosh.
the tunnel of fudge cake.
It's like the it's like the Library of the bakery of Alexandria has burned to the ground. What was in that bakery?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So I have a very general answer. I cannot think of like any one dessert.
No, that's fine.
So I've read lots of cookbooks from the 1800s. So I can do the blogs for Airship Ambassador and things that I want to either make myself or that I intend to blog about or have menu options for the conventions when I do the panels. And so going through those cakes, there are so many really good flavors that we commercially just don't make anymore, or we don't offer, like Costco and the grocery stores and Duncan Hines and whatever the other one, Betty Crocker, all those box mixes. Yeah. Chocolate, vanilla, spice cake, and then that's like it, basically. And so looking at all these cookbooks over time, there are so many more great flavors to make. So if it's pistachio, chestnut, so a lot of the nuts, acorn, I've just started to make because I was able to find acorn flour at the local Korean grocery store. Just other combinations of how things go together to use fruits, if it's cherries or strawberries, blueberries, just all of it and how they all come together. And I guess I'm just really disappointed how I guess a really American
homogenous
palette, just chocolate, vanilla, maybe strawberry, and that's like it. That anytime we have a cake, generally it seems it's the same thing all the time, and there's no variety. It's like the car colors, paint colors on cars. It's like there's 5 or 6 colors that we can choose from. And when we were in China looking at some of the electric vehicles, they offered it 30 colors. And like, well, that's how it should be. Like,
yes.
But same thing. So going through all these recipes from these cookbooks from the 1800s, there are so many wonderful cakes to make of different textures and flavors that we just don't get commercially anymore. And they're not in box mixes. And
there is a wonderful series on Apple Plus called Carême, It's about the first celebrity chef, essentially, in France at the turn of the 18th century into the 19th century. So for us, it counts for time travelers. He baked for people like Emperor Napoleon. And those desserts, you are making me think of those desserts because they are so, the flavor profiles are amazing, but also they're very dramatic. There's a show to them. And we really have gotten into the like homogenous dessert experience. And I think that's a real loss.
Yes, I agree. And certainly with the Victorians, and I always lead off my panels noting that everything is about presentation. And it might be like just a chocolate cake or just a vanilla cake, but the way it's presented, and actually even the way it's made is pretty spectacular and showy. Yeah.
Showy. We love that. Also, I love this, Piper. Next time we're going to have the Airship Ambassador on to talk about desserts. We clearly need to have you on at the same time. What a missed opportunity, my friend. But this sounds amazing. A candle that infuses an aromatic component to the desserts. That's certainly something I've never experienced here in the States. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, Piper, comment about the tea infused cakes and custards and creams. Yeah, there's some really great recipes with that. It's like brew up such and such tea, as strong as possible, and then add that becomes the liquid in whatever the cake or custard is, and it's a really great way to get that flavor. And if it's really strong to start with as a tea, it's a little more subtle in the dessert, but it's so good.
So scrummy. Now, Airship Ambassador, I know that we're coming towards the end of our time tonight. Of course, I am so sad because the time has gone so quickly. We've been having a delightful, riotous time talking about desserts and throwing these ridiculous questions at you. Thank you to all of our Patreon subscribers who helped us choose our questions. But I have to mention, before we wrap up, and since you were talking about the sort of spectacle of it all with 19th century baking, you went on a quest starting right before the pandemic and throughout the pandemic. You went on a quest to create a 19th century style cake mold for making these really extraordinary, tall, elaborate cakes. And this is kind of like a bundt cake, except, if the Difference Engine and H.G. Wells and Jules Verne and, some 19th century mad scientists got involved. It's incredible. Can you share a little bit about your adventures in finding and recreating this cake mold?
It really, yes, thank you. It was definitely a quest and a journey and a lot of challenges. And in the end, it was totally worth it. So it started when I was researching cakes, and I think it was a steamed pudding. And I was looking at, I think it's Dr. Annie Gray. She's a culinary historian, and on her blog, and there was this little picture of this mold from the 1800s, a copper mold, and just had this great shape. And I was like, wow, that is just amazing. And I absolutely have to have it. And of course, it's not made anymore. There's none in the antique market. It's just that one picture was it. And I couldn't find anything anywhere. And, but obsession kicked in. I still had to have it. And so I spent a lot of time trying to track down essentially a forge, or there's another word for it, but a metal forge, a local place that would would be able to cast this mold, help me make it and cast it. And so I found one locally in South Seattle, and which was an amazing stroke of luck, because they're not like common. And they worked with a draftsman in house who was like independent. And so we had several meetings, and I said, here's what I want. Here's like the basics. And here's my really rough drawing and the original picture. And we talked back and forth and said, oh, well, it should be this, it should be that. I was like, okay, whatever, but like, help me make this. And they all really went out of their way, kind of, because it was a labor of love to make this. And in the end, the draftsman came up with like a great design based on all my comments, and I think the design evolved over time, because I realized part of it, like a bundt cake mold, that there's essentially the tube in the middle, and
Nice.
so that the cake can bake evenly all the way around. And like this mold was like a big cone basically, and didn't have that. So how can we get heat into the middle of the bottom of the cake where it's widest? And so there's an insert for that fits into the handles of the overall cake mold. So they helped me really make it. And I got a 3D printer so I could print it out and make sure like it all looked right, and did all kinds of like probably not health and safety approved kind of prototype bakes. But it came out and it was perfect. And so went ahead and had the mold cast, and that initial prototype mold was like perfect. We didn't have to make any changes. Like they did such a fantastic job, but it took so long to track down all these resources and all the people could help. And then I did want to get a non-stick coating on it, so I had to get another factory, which was also thankfully in South Seattle. And it was amazing how it all worked out and came together. But it took so much time and effort to make it happen. And if people are interested, they can go to beatonsbakeware.com, and there's a picture, I think on the blog section of it. But it turned out really, really well. And
It's
I was
gorgeous.
so happy.
Yeah, I love that you went on this quest. I love the tenacity. It's a very steampunk story, that you were inspired by this bit of ephemera from the past, and rather than give up, you were like, no, I'm going to figure out how to make this a reality by hook or by crook.
And that's exactly what it was. It was like every single step there was a challenge. And like, well, now what? Well, there's got to be an answer of some kind. And it was that persistence to just keep going, and I guess not accept that that's the end of it. Like, I can't go any further, that there has got to be a way to make this happen. And which I think applies to a lot of things in life. But it was certainly a big lesson, because it was every single step was a challenge. And I mean, nothing was easy about making this cake mold. But
it's fantastic.
I'm glad that this cake mold now exists. It is yours to have and yours to touch with your physical hands.
Yes, and there's still I had a few more casts, so there are a few extras, I guess, in the world, or available in the world. Yes,
I have one of them, and I was so chuffed that you sent me one. I do not trust my oven enough currently to bake in it, this beautiful mold, but someday I'm going to take over someone's kitchen with a really reliable oven, and I am going to make a cake in it, because it's just gorgeous. It's an amazing mold. Yeah, you did such a beautiful job.
Thank you. And the heat distribution is amazing. I was so surprised. I mean, it turned out even better than I expected. And when I make a cake in it, it's like 350 for at least 30 minutes, and then kind of keep checking it, because it depends on the oven. But it turns out so well pretty much every time. It's
beautiful.
I am just so happy with how it turned out.
These are the kinds of steampunk stories I really love, that we find something in the past that really inspires us and we pursue it. and we make it a reality. It's that kind of tenacity of steampunk that I think is so fun.
You
We were going
drag
to
it.
talk.
You
Go ahead.
drag it, kicking and streaming into the present.
That's
Yes.
correct.
Yes.
We were going to talk about ever so many things, my darlings. We could clearly go on all night. The three of us are old chums. We're going to talk about our hopes and dreams for Steampunklandia and some of the process and ways in which we have worked individually and collectively to push for a more inclusive and welcoming and equitable steampunk space. But I will not torment the Grand Arbiter with another hour and a half of interview tonight.
I mean, we will be here till
Impose on
the
Ambassador.
cows are abducted by airships.
Yes.
Yes. We could easily talk nonstop. Yes.
But tomorrow is International Steampunk Day, amongst many other things that are happening here in the United States. And whilst we don't normally go into a lot of modern political discourse, I think that this tale of tenacity and looking backwards in order to bring a sort of strength and resilience into the present are really good lessons to carry with yourself into tomorrow, into International Steampunk Day. And it's also a good reminder that whilst steampunk is set in a time during which monarchy and empire were really common, we don't exactly celebrate those things, if you know what I mean. And I think you do.
Lord.
So please be safe tomorrow, everyone, no matter what you do, no matter how you are spending your time. Also note that our delightful Miss Gail is having a live stream tomorrow afternoon with updates about what she's getting up to. So there are lots of treats for you, as well as lots of opportunities to make your voice heard about the current political moment in the United States. So please remember, when you're doing hard things, it's important to also do kind things for yourself and to take very good care of yourself. Grand Arbiter, before we wrap up, do you have any last things you'd like to say?
Be sure to vote with all of our Patreon votes for our exciting bracket next week. A deep dive discussion into tropes, a lovely debate among friends.
Yes, our trope-tastic tourney.
Yes. I will be, Madam Skew will be very available. I will be very unavailable for the next 5 days due to the salt mine wishes for me to go deeper into the mine. So I will have to go very deep into the mine to deal with some minor problems. But we will, Madam Skew has, what do you have going on this weekend, Madam?
So tomorrow we will have a sort of truncated crafternoon in honor of Miss Gail's live stream. We'll sort of come together in the early afternoon, do a little bit of crafting and connection, and then head over to Miss Gail's for her live stream. Sunday I teach, and Tuesdays I do my Twitch and Stitch live on Twitch, where I sew and answer whatever sewing questions you have. We have a very delightful and usually incredibly scandalous, cheeky time. And next weekend, we have our book club happening on June 21st. That is the July calendar. Very confusing. So on June 21st, I hope I have that date right. Bill will tell me. We're discussing the wonderful Terra at Tierra del Cobra with Michael Miriam and Catherine Lundoff, the wonderful mastermind behind Queen of Swords Press. So that's just in a week. We have a lot of wonderful things happening. I do hope you will come and join us for many of these adventures. We try and have a diversity of adventures because we all like so many things. And because also I like to see you and I want to bribe you with activities. So you'll come to the events. And oh gosh, thank you. Thank you, Robert. Thank you. I looked over and it's the July calendar, and that's distinctly unhelpful. Sunday, the 22nd. Thank you, my darling. So do come and join us for that. Information is posted in all the usual places. And with that, please do go and follow the Airship Ambassador on Blue Sky and Beaton's Bakeware, the Airship Ambassador's wonderful baking contingent, where you talk about recipes, historical recipes, and things that always make me quite hungry. And on your Airship Ambassador feed, you talk about the steampunk news and happenings. You are and continue to be a wonderful advocate for the very best of steampunk, my darling friend. It's
Thank you
such a
very much.
pleasure to have you here. We have to do it again, obviously. We barely scratched the surface. So,
Yes.
and with
Always
that,
great fun. Thank you so much. And thank you for everyone that joined in and for all your comments. It was wonderful.
thank you.
Wonderful.
And thank you, Bill, for correcting my Spanish. I really appreciate it. That's the book. And everyone, please go forth, treasure yourselves as we treasure you. Take very good care this weekend, and remember to stay hydrated and to drink the good tea, get your vitamins and minerals, get those vaccines and boosters, wash your hands, wear masks. We believe in science around here. Just take care of yourselves no matter what, because you are irreplaceable. And if you're able, please consider supporting us at Patreon. This is what keeps our airship fueled and what allows me to have tea in my teacup and treats for the kitties and fabric to stitch up for the Grand Arbiter. He would like more cravats and more jabots. And
You know what I
would like
really want, to be honest?
a cape.
Well, that is gotta happen. But I also, I want Madame Askew to feel safe and loved by her community. I wish that on my very heart. Not a monkey paw, hopefully, Lord.
Thank
On
you,
my heart,
Arbiter.
not the monkey paw.
But if that's all you got,
I'm wishing hard for Madam to have the emotional and fiscal support to ensure that she continues to sew at my bidding, that she become a servant to the needle, truly a saint of hat making, really serving the Lord, and the Lord being, in this instance, me.
Thank you, Grand Arbiter. Thank you, Patreon community. Thank you all for being here. You do provide all the things that I need to feel loved, supported, and safe. And so thank you to everyone who is able to be part of our Patreon. And if you are able to join us, I assure you I would be chuffed. All right. And with that, my darlings, the Grand Arbiter is going to send us on our way.
Bye, y'all. May you hold the power of Madam in your heart, and that you be a treasure to your loved ones. Hurry back now, y'all.
Good night.
good night. Good night.